how you guys doing? So today I thought I might just go over some of the cardinal rules of running and looking after your base properly. So there's technically three main points you want to pay attention to, which is refreshing, fertilizing, and feeding. So I usually start off with refreshing my base. So when you look at an object, you'll see, for example, this little storage box. It'll have a little tag at the top that says food eggs, which is what I labeled it, and then the durability of the actual item. If you click on that little box, it actually drops down and it gives you a decay timer for the item. So, for example, once I go to this one, I'll go up to here. If there's an item that's got a lower decay timer because you haven't been near it or touched it or used it, the way to refresh it is just to walk up to it and it'll actually reset itself. So sometimes it only resets itself to 6 instead of 7 days, which is the full amount usually for the majority of items. But what I usually like to do is buildings is usually all one big item. So if I log into my building, it all refreshes to the same day, so that's fine. These items, for example, because they're placed on the ground and they're not actually connected to my building, they have their own decay timer. So I have to individually go to these items and refresh them. So I've got like this turret here, so I usually have to have a swim down and refresh that. So that had a 5-day timer. Another 5 day, back to 7. Even foundations down the bottom here. Now, for example, all these back walls, they're all connected, so they actually all refresh pretty much in one loop, so I don't need to go through each individual wall. But these ones, because they weren't properly like snapped on to the actual suggested snap point, they are counted as individual sort of objects, so they have to be individually refreshed as well. So I usually have a bit of a run around and make sure that everything is actually reset. So you don't want to come back with half your base, missing. Not a fun time. Sometimes even like your little palace and stuff like that needs to be refreshed. So for my base, I had like an awkward little gap here, so I'd put some pillars, which I have to refresh as well. Your turrets as well, 100% need to be refreshed. So I was around here quite a lot, so a lot of them pretty much already reset for me. So I usually start with just going along the actual edge of my base, do a couple of detours for objects that I've placed on the ground itself. So yep, that's one that's reset there. These things here usually a reset I have to do. Yep, there we go. And then I usually do a loop around here, get that one, I might get the turrets down there, and I have a bit of a loop around here. So I've got a turret here, make sure that's refreshed, refresh. Yeah, so that's one of the important things to really keep in mind. So if you're even really smart about how the way you build things, you can get away without having a lot of these sort of loosely placed items to refresh. I guess like any noob, you sort of start building and you have no idea what you're doing, you're just sort of winging it, and that's fine. So when you either redo your base or if you want to revamp it, that's something to keep in mind and to make life a little easier for you. You will notice stuff premium items like, for example, this statue has a much longer decay timer, and that should count for all premium items. Like they won't all be the same amount of time, but they will be much longer than your average average like object that you've placed down. So I won't go through the whole section because I really think you don't want to see that, but that just covers the general bits and pieces of refreshing sort of things. Alright, so I'll go back here. Now, the next one up is good old feeding. So I've got feeding troughs placed all around. I always have berries in there, but the problem that you'll run into is meat decays. It spoils really fast, so I actually keep the spoiled meat in there because you can use it for narcotics and other stuff. But yeah, it decays, and so you have to keep going through all your feeding points and putting fresh meat in. If you don't do it like every day, at least every maybe second day, because some dinos are more sensitive to starving than others, so you have to keep that in mind too. So what I'm going to do is I usually keep some meat stored in here for this purpose, so I'm going to take all of that. Food one, so I'll put you here. There we go, much lighter. Okay, so I usually go and just make a pit stop at all my feeding troughs. So if you keep them fed pretty regularly, that stack will usually stay there and they will slowly feed from it. But if you do an every second day feed, you're probably gonna need more stacks because it'll eat the whole stack before you can actually put a fresh stack for them to slowly eat from later on. So that's why I do prefer to do mine every day. And even then, it's good that if you can't come online maybe for whatever reason every day, and you haven't fed your creatures for 2 days, it just puts you in a tricky spot where you are going to risk losing dinos. So that's why in case I keep them fed every day, fresh meat. And just stay stacked up on your berries and you're fine with that, so your herbivores are probably safer than your carnivores. I've got another one down here. Yeah, you can see there is some meat in there, but I usually like to put a fresh stack. So this trough in particular actually feeds a good majority of my dinos, since I've got a big building here that's got like 3 layers full of different dinos. So alright, so I'll put this meat away and then we'll get into the third point, which is fertilizing. So this obviously only applies to you if you've actually got a greenhouse or crop plots, you know, where you're actually growing your own berries or other, you know, stuff for kibble. So I've actually got dung beetles. So you can either use the fertilized compost box, or you can actually go and tame yourself up a beetle. So by feeding it some good poop, not small, I always keep it medium to large, that is the ones that they process to fertilizer for you, and they even give you a bit of oil as well, which I find really, really helpful. So one of the things I do every day is have a bit of a run around, and you would have noticed I picked up some before as well when I was running around, and I just collect some poop and feed that to my dung beetles. I've got 2 of them. And they pretty much run my entire greenhouse with extra fertilizer to spare. I've got like a whole chest full of them just stored away. So we'll have a bit of a jog around. Yep, you got some for me. Thank you. I do try to get the majority in large animal feces first, because they actually will just take up more room and they can still make like enough fertilizer out of it, and then whatever I can't fully fit, I will then do in the medium size. So that's why I do get a mix of both. So I'll run through here. My spinos are actually really good for this because they drop 2 at a time, which is really helpful for me. Yep, there we go, prime example. Let's see, any more down there? Nope. And the thing is, you could double back because about like 50% of the time they've already made more when you've turned your back. So, yep, there we go. We've got another one up here. Thank you. Okay, how much do I have? Maybe a little bit more because I might not use the same ratio in Man, this lag is really annoying. So I've got this little petting zoo cage here, and it's just got like a little selection of like cute smallish dinos. Unfortunately, I do technically have them on Wonder, but when you put them on Wonder on the ceilings, it doesn't work as well for whatever reason, so they just sort of go here, which is fine. While I'm up here, I'll also grab the tuna paste. I do this every day, so 200 every day. Like, it does like eventually count up to a good chunk, which is good for your crafting. Alright, so I'll go in here. I'll start with just putting on. Right, so you'll notice that I can't put any more large ones. Then I will go and I've got 2 extra ones. Alright, so that's closed. I've got another one in here. Someone will have some. There we go. Amy's got some for us. Next up. Any more anywhere else? That's fine. I'll just put in one more. So, I usually store away my oil. I do like to collect it over time, and then I'll do like a bulk fuel making pretty much, which I'll store away and then top up my good old generator in the back corner here. Alright, so I've got my fertilizer now. So I've got X plants at the front here that I need to top up every day, because depending on how much things they defend your base from, the quicker it'll actually use up your fertilizer. So it's always one of the first things that I actually top up. Yeah, and I refilled this yesterday and it's already gone, almost 3 years. So I've got another one on the other side here. I'm right next to the swamp, so I definitely had to place an X plant on the other side. Actually, I'll take you. With me and mounting my dinos today. I'll take you. Okay, so I've got another X plant through here. Sometimes if they're really low and there's only a sliver of fertilizer left, I do remove it and put a fresh one in because there's no point. Okay, so I do have an actual greenhouse which I have built up here. And I also have these little decorative plants, I guess you could say. They do have a chance of dropping red flowers, as you can see, and also potent dust, coloured potent dust. So I do fill them up every day as well. And keep them topped up. So down here. And it's completely random. You're not going to get something every day, so don't be disappointed if or think it's not working if you don't get something. Squeeze in here, get it back. Right. Yep, so here's my greenhouse. A lot of times berries that I do have in here, I might top up some of my feeding shops. I get rid of the seeds because they just take up room, but you could actually fit an extra fertilizer in there. Here. probably one of the first things that new creators are going to want to figure out and know how to do. And like, you know, I've seen so many people, they have, like, for example, a compost maker, but they have no idea how to actually use it. And even I was completely clueless when I first started, and I wasted so much time where I could have made pretty much the game easier because I'd actually properly been able to have a greenhouse or pretty much like oil. Like, I didn't even know in the beginning that beetles did what they did. So research is a really good thing to do. So I don't think I'm going to need any of the rest of these because I've topped up the other ones already recent. So I'm just going to keep it up there. But yeah guys, that's pretty much the 3 main points to keep in mind with your base maintenance. So it's a good thing to keep in mind when you're building, placing your items, and also when you're doing some farming. Alright, until next time guys, bye bye!